trunnion and bearing replacement on a Dexter stack dryer. Remember, as with all repairs, you must remove electric before beginning. We start off by removing the lint screen, front door, and computer from the machine. To remove the door, there's a 3/16 Allen head screw on the top right. Once you remove the door, there's a small Teflon washer on the bottom. The door actually rides on that, so try not to lose that. Once the door is off, there are 4 screws, Torx 20, that you're going to remove the strap. Once you do that, there is another 4 screws holding the front panel on. Once you remove the panel, you'll notice on the right there is the door switch wires, and on the left you're going to see the drop point wires. Just take note of where you're removing them from, so it's just easier for you to connect everything back. Once the 2 wires are off here on the right, the panel will come off, and that should be for the front of the machine. Now we're going to move into the back and start working on the back of the machine. Once in the back of the machine, you're going to be able to remove the rear panel to access the pulley and belt assembly. Now with the rear components exposed, you'll notice that there is a nut holding in the rear pulley. What we recommend is leaving the belt on as you remove it, as it helps you to remove this nut. We're going to use a 1.5-inch socket with an impact wrench just to make it a little easier for us. With the nut now removed, we're going to remove the lock washer that's in place. Be sure not to lose that. The next thing is the belt removal. Be careful not to pinch your fingers. I would recommend using a screwdriver if you're looking to do this. Once you remove the belt, and the pulley should come out fairly easy. If not, you might have to bang it out from the rear. Now you notice that the rear of the shaft is accessible. The only other thing that you're going to have to remove here is a small keyway, which actually holds the pulley in place. What our mechanic uses is actually a pair of angle pliers. He grabs real tight on it, and then he's able to pull it right off. Now all that's left is to remove the barrel from the front of the machine. It might be necessary to actually bang the old shaft out with a block of wood and a mallet. Considering this is a fairly new machine, that was really unnecessary. Sometimes you will notice it does come out with the bearing. This is where we remove the 3 9/16 nuts that are holding the spider to the drum assembly. You notice once he removes it, there is a small washer on one of the sides. Make note that if that's where the washer is, that's where it has to stay. Try not to move them around as this helps in the balancing of the drum. Once that is done, it's just a matter of putting back the 3 nuts and reassembling the whole assembly. Um, The bearings might be a little tricky. What we do is from the rear of the machine, we knock out the front bearing, and from the front of the machine, we knock out the rear bearing. To install the bearings, all we do is knock around the edges till it's safely seated all the way back. Make sure not to hit the race, as in you might damage it. Here we just reinstall the drum and trunnion assembly. Make sure you align it as good as you can, as in it might be a little difficult. This where it might be handy to have someone else helping you, someone in the rear trying to guide you through. Once you feel it go in through the first bearing, it should be easier with the second bearing. Here is where the puller actually comes in place. It's not necessary, but it makes the job just that much easier. Once you install the puller, you're going to put on the nut to hold it in place, and you're going to see when we squeeze it together, it's actually going to pop into place. At that point, you can just start reassembling the rear, and everything should work. You see? One pop, and that's it. Now we reinstall the pulley spacer. At this point, all that's left is to put in the keyway. The keyway, we can just pretty much set it in place and bang it down with a hammer. You don't really want to force it in. Most of the time, if you do damage the removal, it's just easier to just replace it. They're very inexpensive. Now you're going to align the keyway with the opening on the pulley. Once you replace the pulley, don't forget to put the lock washer back in place and the nut. The manufacturer's specifications is that it should be torqued down to 150 foot-pounds per inch. Now it's just a matter of backtracking. We put back on the belt, replace the safety panel in the rear, replace the front panel, and all parts that were removed.